November 5th is just around the corner. From San Marcos's local candidates to changes on the ballot, we've got all you need to know about the upcoming election on this edition of Star News Network.
First, get to know your local candidates on the ballot and hear their take on issues that directly affect you.
So that you can have a representative who knows and understands what it's like to be a student.
Next, we'll bring you a front row seat to San Marcos's mayoral debate, where candidates went head-to-head to discuss the future of San Marcos.
We have approved over 3,000 units of low-income housing for our residents, which should include college students after graduation.
Finally, hear Texas State students' perspective on the upcoming election. Are they voting? Why or why not? We have the answer for you.
Vote locally. What you do locally matters and will be heard by your community.
All of this on the election edition of Star News Network. I'm AnaBelle Elliott.
And I'm Leilani Benitez. Welcome to University Star's first edition of Star News Network.
Star News Network provides news and information on issues affecting the Texas State and the San Marcos communities.
Something that will affect our communities is the upcoming local election on November 5th.
Reporter Blake Leschber has our first story today, a look at our local candidates and the issues they want to take on if voted on in this upcoming election.
Local and state candidates shared their visions for San Marcos and Hays County at the Meet Your Local Candidates event at Texas State University. The event gave students, faculty, and community members a chance to hear directly from candidates for San Marcos City Council, county positions, and even state office. Lorenzo Gonzalez, running for City Council Place 5, describes himself as an anti-cop cop. He hopes to make the City Council more accessible to Texas State students and local residents alike.
People automatically think that I'm saying that current council is doing something corrupt behind closed doors. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're not accessible. So as a council member, I'm not going to expect you to come to me during regular business hours if you have a concern. I feel that as your representative, it'll be my job and my duty to go to community events, to go where y'all are at, and be accessible to y'all.
Place 5 candidate Adam Von Arndt wants to tackle housing affordability. He argues that the rent-by-the-bed model is predatory and unfair to renters in San Marcos.
I realized that when I tried to move into this town, I was shocked and amazed that the only places that really were available to rent would be me sharing a room and renting a separate room for my 6-year-old son, and then sharing with college students as well. And I thought, wow, that doesn't seem like the best model for me as a family leader, a guy raising a family. Upon moving here and talking to students, I realized that that method is not good for students either. It turns out that this whole rent-by-the-bed model that has become very, very prevalent in this town is entirely predatory, not only on you, but on everybody except for the developers that own them and Texas State University.
Also running for Place 5, Roland Saucedo believes the voices of San Marcos citizens aren't being heard. As someone who works with local residents daily, he's committed to amplifying community concerns.
You're to speak on our behalf. Do what we are requesting, what we are needing. And if for some reason our judgment is clouded or we're misinformed and not aware of all the challenges, then you know what? Talk to us. Share that information with us so that way we don't feel like you betrayed us. That's why I'm running for City Council Place 5.
Place 6 candidate Mariah Dunn, a small business owner, has focused her campaign on job security and wages. She wants to see fewer community members relying on services like the food bank due to low wages.
The growing line at the food bank, I drive that way every day to get to my shop that's downtown, and seeing that line consistently just grow longer and longer and longer, that just goes to show how crucial it is to create sustainable jobs.
Incumbent San Marcos Mayor Jane Houston is running for re-election. During her tenure, she's worked on expanding tenants' rights and providing more resources for reporting housing issues.
The city has contracted with the Austin Tenants Council for a number of years now, but last spring, a council member and I at a committee meeting were talking, saying, what they're providing is not enough. Matter of fact, there she is. We said that was not enough, so we were asking the staff, what can we get for more money? And so the staff brought us 2 more proposals. We chose the higher one, and so that's what we have now, is a higher level of service for you. So if you're having trouble with your landlord, you can create an online intake form on your own at trla.org/ATC for Austin Tenants Council.
Mayoral candidate Juan Miguel Arredondo, a Texas State alumnus, wants to bridge gaps between the city and the university, creating a collaborative, problem-solving relationship.
When we talk about parking, we say, well, it's the university's fault. Well, we talk about housing, it's the university's fault. We talk about flooding, well, it's the university's fault for building those projects. And I'm not saying that they don't play a part in our community's challenges, but if you're just running to point the finger at Texas State or to point the finger at the historic neighborhoods and not actually solve the issues that you were elected to address, then I think it's time to step aside and let the next generation of leadership into that role to actually try and address the issues that you've had 10, 15, 20, 30 years trying to address.
For District 45, Tennyson Moreno hopes to bring Generation Z's voice to the Texas legislature, aiming to better represent younger perspectives in the state's decision-making.
Right now, we only have 1 or 2 congressmen who are representing that age group, and more politics are local. That's why it's important to have a representative who shares the struggles that we do here on campus, that shares the passion we do on campus, so that you can have a representative who knows and understands what it's like to be a student, because I am one.
District Judge candidate Alicia Key is focused on justice accessibility. She believes that everyone deserves fair legal representation and a justice system that's easier to navigate.
We need to make sure that our people accused of crime get appointed adequate defense attorneys, and that those defense attorneys are given the opportunity to put on the best defense. We need to ensure that our court processes are fair and easy to navigate, because there are a lot of people with civil cases that can't afford attorneys. They have to try to navigate the court system themselves, and we need to implement fair and simple processes to make that happen for people.
Judge Elaine Brown, running for re-election in the County Court at Law No. 3, oversees the mental health court. She aims to continue her work with defendants who have mental health or developmental disabilities.
The mental health court is a problem-solving court. In other words, we have a team and we want to help that individual make it through the program, which is 12 months for misdemeanors, 18 months for felonies now. We want to help them come through that program. And in order to do that, I have to have a conversation with that individual. I have to be able to communicate with that individual and find out what concerns they have, what's not working for them, what is working for them. And in order to do that, I go down to their level, I get down in the well of the courtroom, and I sit at a table across from them. And I find that that works so much better.
Rebecca Minnick, a candidate for County Commissioner in Precinct 3, emphasizes the importance of water conservation in Hays County, a crucial issue given the region's rapid growth.
The other thing I end up explaining to people is, you don't live in my precinct. And so that is kind of a thing. But I do want you to know that there's 5 votes on the commissioner's court. And so we're all interconnected, and the county is really the connective tissue between these towns.
Amanda Calvert, a candidate for district clerk, believes her experience working with Hays County makes her the best fit to take on the responsibilities of this administrative role.
I realized with what happened with this this position, our district clerk resigned, and there's a need for experience in that office. And as a public servant, which I have loved doing, I want to provide that service to our county. I'm a public servant at heart, and I love being behind the scenes doing paperwork.
From issues of affordable housing and fair wages to water conservation and representation, it's clear that these candidates are eager to address the pressing concerns of San Marcos and Hays County. I'm Blake Leschber for Star News Network, reporting.
Thanks, Blake. In our next segment, we bring you to the San Marcos mayoral debate, where candidates tackled big issues like housing, education, and community safety.
Reporter Marisa Nuñez highlights the key topics of the San Marcos mayoral debate for us. Take a look.
San Marcos residents are gearing up for a competitive mayoral election, with candidates meeting face-to-face at a debate hosted by Texas State student government. Both Mayor Jane Houston and challenger Juan Miguel Arredondo share their visions for the city's future, aiming to win over the Texas State community. Texas State hit a record-high student enrollment this year, reaching over 40,000 students. Addressing the growing need for affordable housing, Mayor Jane Houston cited her track record.
We have approved over 3,000 units of low-income housing for our residents, which should include college students after graduation.
Arredondo, a Texas State alumnus, emphasized the importance of housing near campus, reflecting on his own experience as a student.
I experienced that convenience of being located close to our university, being able to walk downtown, being able to walk to class, and you shouldn't just have to live in the historic district of San Marcos to have that experience.
The candidates also discussed the city's relationship with the university. Arredondo pressed the need for regular communication between the city and Texas State's administration.
Meeting with university administrators regularly is critical. Being an advocate for the university is critical, and not just when you're on the ballot.
Houston highlighted her involvement in Texas State University's master plan as an example of her commitment to the campus community.
I would love to talk to students more, but I do believe that we've got a good working relationship.
Turning to San Marcos' economy, Arredondo stressed the need for high-paying jobs to retain students and long-life residents alike.
Because as young people graduating from Texas State, you can't wait for the next committee, the next election cycle, the next 8-year master plan to find a job. You need a job right after you graduate, or our families in San Marcos need jobs today.
Houston responded that while it's wonderful to retain graduates, it's unrealistic to provide jobs locally for every Texas State graduate.
Not all students want to stay here. I'm happy for the ones that do. It's nice that they do. Some wish to return home. Some seek job employment elsewhere.
Early voting for the San Marcos mayoral election began on October 21st and continues to November 1st, leading up to Election Day on November 5th. I'm Marisa Nuñez, reporting for Star News Network.
Thanks, Marisa. Hey, Leilani, are you going to be voting in the upcoming election?
I actually already did with early voting.
Same, and I remember the first time I voted, and a lot of students are in that position right now.
Reporter Luciana Schwery interviewed first-time voters on campus to see what's driving them to the polls this year.
We have less than a month before the November general elections. That's just enough time for all you voters out there to get educated, fill out your ballot, and show up at the polls this election season for both local, federal, and state. I spoke to students on campus to see what's bringing them to the polls this election season.
My name's Kaylin, and I'm an education major here. It's the main opportunity you get to voice your opinion here, and it's just important to be able to use your right to vote.
For some, voting represents a chance to support the issues and values closest to them. Samantha Wunsch, a Texas State volleyball player and geography major, tells us why this election matters to her.
I think it's super important because each vote matters, and getting your opinion and your views on the world is obviously very important for every person. It's your civic duty. I just feel like even if you don't feel super strongly one way or another, or if you do, like, voting and making what you believe in known matters. Obviously, everything going on with women's rights is a huge deal, especially in women's sports. And so I think being able to support, like, who I support, that is in support of women. I think it's just really important for all of us to get our votes out there.
Others are focusing on how their votes impact their immediate communities. Zaina Abdulrahim, an international relations major, emphasizes the local impact of her vote. Vote locally. What you do locally matters and will be heard by your community. you will be heard by members of your community and your city council at the very least if we can't get up to the top of the state or even federally. Me personally, I will not be voting for president in the upcoming election, but that doesn't mean I'm not voting. I will be voting in every other category because I believe that it is important to get out and vote. Voting is a privilege that I recognize. Not everyone that I know has that privilege, and I'm looking forward to taking advantage of it. So yes, vote, but think about the implications of your vote. And if you think it won't matter in some cases and matter in other cases, just weigh that into how you go to the polls.
For these students, voting is more than a right. It's a responsibility to stand up for their beliefs, to represent their communities, and to advocate for change on issues that impact their lives. For Star News Network, I'm Luciana Schweiri, reporting.
Thanks, Luciana. Thanks for joining us for the election edition of Star News Network.
We hope you feel more informed about the local elections happening in San Marcos. We'll see you next time.